Well, as we just heard, an international conference in Kabul has backed a plan by the Afghan president to start peace talks with the Taliban. Karzai also told the conference delegates that Afghanistan's determined to take responsibility for its own security within 4 years. Representatives from 70 countries have gathered for the historic talks. The United Nations and the US-led coalition are calling on the Afghan government to do more to improve security and crack down on corruption. South Asia correspondent Sally Sarah reports.
There hasn't been a gathering like it in Kabul for 3 decades. Delegates from around the world have converged on the Afghan capital to draw a roadmap for the country's future. President Karzai is hopeful Afghan security forces will be ready to take the lead within 4 years.
I remain determined that our Afghan national security forces will be responsible for all military and law enforcement operations throughout our country by 2014.
The United States says it will accelerate the transfer of responsibility to Afghan forces when US troops start a gradual withdrawal this time next year. The US is also promising an unprecedented civilian surge to develop the Afghan economy.
The July 2011 date captures both our sense of urgency and the strength of our resolve. The transition process is too important to push off indefinitely, but this date is the start of a new phase, not the end of our involvement.
The United Nations has conceded some of its aid programs could have been delivered more effectively. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon is calling on foreign donors and the Afghan government to improve transparency and accountability.
Just as Afghans are taking greater responsibility for governance and development, so must they take greater responsibility for security as well.
Karzai wants up to 50% of foreign aid to be controlled and distributed by the Afghan government. NATO is encouraging a gradual handover of security and economic responsibilities. It says that process can only go ahead when the conditions are right.
We will not leave the Afghan people behind. We will never accept that the Afghan government will be overthrown by extremists. We will never accept that Taliban once again will get a safe haven in Afghanistan.
Many donor nations are caught between domestic political pressure to get out of Afghanistan and reluctance to leave without seeing some measurable progress. But the insurgents are warning they will fight for as long as it takes. Al-Qaeda's second-in-command has released an undated internet message goading the US president.
Poor Obama comes to Kabul and he promises that Taliban shall not return to power. You poor man, can you promise that your hordes will return safely to America?
The US and many of its allies still have at least another 4 years of risking lives and pouring funds into the uncertainty that is Afghanistan. Sally Sarah, Lateline.